to kick it off for Miami. The rookie sends it on its way, and it's a boomer. Murray's kicked it off and into the end zone this year and gets the touchback as Desmond Howard kneels down. At the 20, the Raiders will begin, and here's what's at stake today. Miami pleased at the early results. New England wins, Jets lose. If Miami could win, it would be a three-way tie for first in the AFC East with 3 games to play. Jeff George brings the Raiders onto the field, and the offensive line for the man who is very high in the rankings this year, NFL passing, number 2 in most of the categories. Harlow, Wisniewski, Whitley, Robbins, and Kennedy, the front wall. The backfield of Napoleon Kaufman, Harvey Williams, who plays tight end, now has moved back to fullback. Jet and Tim Brown on the outside, and Ricky Dudley, the tight end. Napoleon Kaufman tripped up at the 20, no gain. Anthony Harris in for the tackle, and here are the Miami Dolphins. Trace Armstrong with the big men Bowens and Gardner inside. Rookie Jason Taylor's had a good year. Harris, Thomas, and Derek Rogers, another rookie. Rogers from Arizona has been outstanding. Buckley and Madison, rookie. Louisville at the corners. Sean Wooden and Calvin Jackson at safety. Jackson moving inside with the return of Madison, who was injured nearly half the year. Draw play to Harvey Williams, keeps his balance and gains 3 before Zach Thomas can bring him down.
Offensively for the Raiders, Phil, I think one of the things that they have to do, and it's very important, is to get Tim Brown into this game early.
Well, Tim Brown would like that. I know. Talking to him yesterday, but the Miami Dolphins, you heard Jimmy Johnson say, we're going to be conservative to start the game. This defense is always conservative. Not a lot of blitzing. Stay back there in the zones. Attack the football. That's one of the reasons why they give up a few big plays.
Kaufman with that sparkling 5.1 yard average per carry. It's 3rd down and 6. Tim Brown, again, 1,000-yard reception year, 5 straight years for him. George eases back, eludes the rush, and now goes down hard at the 10. Tim Bowens. 4.5 sacks this year now for Bowens, the 4-year tackle out of Mississippi.
At the end of this play, I'll tell you, Tim Bowens just rolls him over.
But what happens, really, you call this a coverage sack. It's a good job down the field by the secondary, and Tim Bowens just keeps working. Jeff George goes out of the pocket, trying to look down the field. Nobody open. Good hustle by Tim Bowens.
He got his 315 pounds moving forward in a hurry. 12-yard loss, and so Leo Araguz in to punt. He'll kick it from about the goal line. 2-step kicker, and he sends a beautiful spiral back. Pedaling is Charles Jordan, the former Raider. 30, 35, 40, and that'll be it. So Miami begins at its 40-yard line. The tackle by Adam True. Dan Marino. Significant passing records in NFL history. Richmond Webb was injured, didn't play the second half last week. He returns this week. Jeff Bucky, Ruddy, McIver, and Brown, the offensive line. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar leads the league in rushing touchdowns, 13. Stanley Pritchett at fullback returns, was injured in game 2. Perriman and McDuffie outside, and the tight end is Troy Drayton. From the 39-yard line, Marino. George perhaps shaken up a bit on that sack. Abdul-Jabbar to the 41-yard line where Chester McLaughlin made the tackle. 2nd and 8. Defensively, the black and silver line up this way. Russell, the rookie from Southern California, with Maryland, McLaughlin, and Smith. Smith leads in sacks with 6.5. Fredrickson, Beekert, and Folston are the backers. McDaniel and Lewis, veteran corners, with Trapp and Turner at safety. Second down. Marino swings it incomplete. Abdul-Jabbar didn't quite turn the corner in time.
Well, the Miami offense, I think at every game, it starts out fairly conservative. One of the things that the offense is worried about early, they got to tire out the big front of the Oakland Raiders, especially Chester McLaughlin.
Well, Chester McLaughlin has to have a good day if the Oakland Raiders want to be successful on defense. And that really is the key to the Raiders. If he has a good day, they will. If he doesn't, they won't.
3rd down and 9. Juris McPhail and Bernie Parmalee now in the backfield as Marino shifts back. Steps up. Throws down the middle, incomplete to Perriman. And away from the play, one of the wide receivers, O.J. McDuffie, took quite a wallop from a Raider.
Well, it's a good job by Dan Marino. The first receiver was not open, so he anticipates the throw to the second guy in the middle, not looking for the football. Red Perriman coming out of the break, not quite ready.
Eric Turner leveled McDuffie away from the play. John Kidd punting to Desmond Howard. You see his average 8 yards a punt return. It was 15.1 last year at Green Bay with 3 touchdowns. No TDs this year. From the 23 and boom at the 25. Zach Thomas on the special teams makes the hit. 37 on the punt, 2 yards on the return, and that'll take us to a timeout. 12:09 remaining in the opening quarter. The Raiders and the Dolphins. Dolphins, will they be able to win in Oakland?
Yours by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. By Fidelity Investments, where 12 million investors put their trust. And by IBM, solutions for a small planet.
Little chilly for sailing today. Temperature in the high 50s in the Bay Area. As the Raiders' second possession begins at their 25. George play action. Steps up his hit as he throws, completes to Kaufman. What a move. And Napoleon gets an added 5 yards out to the 32 before Jason Taylor can drag him down.
This was all Napoleon Kaufman on this catch. I'll tell you, that was beautiful. The move he makes afterwards. The rush by the defensive line, I mean, they're in his face. Jeff George running a play action pass, and as soon as he turns around, they're in his face. And then watch this move by Napoleon Kaufman right here. Boom, little spin back to the outside.
What did Zach Thomas call Napoleon Kaufman yesterday?
Calls him an ankle breaker. This man makes moves. You go running one way, try to stop fast enough to turn with him.
That was an ankle breaker.
An ankle breaker right there.
Zach Thomas, though, able to hustle to the sidelines and push him out of bounds, short of the first down. And Thomas, who can run with most any linebacker in the league.
Well, here is your guy, Zach.
Well, what he relies on, instincts, which he has a lot of, and speed. Sees the ball, recognizes what's going on, and get to the ball. And that time, hey, Napoleon Kaufman, sideline to sideline, chasing him down.
You know what's a little funny about Zach yesterday? He walked in, I said, how come you have long hair? He was apologizing because he had long hair. He said, I know, I should have had a cut. I should have had a cut, I'm sorry.
Lorenzo Lynch, a backup safety, getting some attention on the sidelines for the Raiders. 3rd down, 2. George to the sidelines to Tim Brown, and a first down. Brown's first catch today, his 77th this year. He's second in the league. Herman Moore, the leader.
Well, it's 3rd and 2, and you're the quarterback. I would expect something short, some type of route inside, but Tim Brown to the outside. Excellent throw by Jeff George. Sam Madison on the coverage.
Tim Brown, the Heisman winner 10 years ago. He's been with the Raiders, of course, the 10 seasons. First time he's ever been late in the year 4 and 8. He didn't like that a bit. He said he's going to be here to 2000, but some changes need to be made. Napoleon Kaufman, not one of those. They love him. Kaufman all the way to the Miami 29.
Boy, he had some great seal blocks to the outside. Zach Thomas is trying to catch up to him, but he gets caught inside. You're going to see Zach Thomas as they come up. You'll see him right at the top. There he is. He slams inside. He gets some excellent blocks on the outside. Robbins gets a block, 63, and off they're running.
Napoleon Kaufman this season ranking 5th in the league yards per rush. McNair, the Oilers quarterback, Broussard, Sanders, Robert Smith, and Kaufman become a big play man. And Harvey Williams shaken up in the play. It was Williams who threw the block on Zach Thomas. 29-yard run for Kaufman. He gets a breather. Raiders move to the Miami 29.
Well, that's what scares every football team when they come in and play the Raiders. Jimmy Johnson, no exception. Hey, they're 4 and 8, but on offense, so many guys, once they get the ball in their hand, can make a big play and put your defense in a lot of tough situations.
Tim Hall now the running back. Play action to him. George flushed out of the pocket and has to throw it away. Avoids the sack from Jason Taylor. Taylor, the rookie from Akron, playing with a fractured right forearm.
And he's got a smashed thumb, so he's got 2 casts, one on each arm. And watch Jason Taylor. Watch this move inside. They have a deal going on, and he comes right up to face of Jeff George and forces him out. But you can see he's got a cast on both arms.
Jason Taylor plays on speed, relies on it. That time they run a game inside, he's fast enough to get in there and make the quarterback get rid of the ball before he wants to.
Taylor grew up in Pittsburgh and homeschooled by his family and attended Akron University. Second down 10. George pumps, throws over the middle, complete to Brown, just sitting there in the line backing area, and tackled at the 25. It'll be around 3rd and 5. Thomas made the stop. Well, we talked with both Jeff George and Tim Brown yesterday, and the basic theme of it was there just doesn't seem to be a core plan. What did George say? It's like playing an all-star game every week. It's a totally new, different concept.
That's right. We have a new offense every week. Tim Brown, the thing that I got out, he says, hey, I'm a decoy out here. I'm here to get the other receivers open, and we saw that's what he complains about. I catch too many passes short and over the middle.
A 3rd down for George. Going to throw for it and goes to Brown, and Brown is on his way to the end zone. His first touchdown catch in 9 games. 24 yards on the play.
Boy, I tell you, the delivery of this ball, and then Brown catches it, just makes a quick turn, and he's already gone. That's Madison out there on the outside. He's already gone, and he's by him, and it's a touchdown. These two guys talked to us yesterday, Jeff George and Tim Brown, saying, we got to hook up. We would like to, and I think you may be doing a little bit on their own.
Well, I don't know if that one was, but they wanted to hook up early. Tim Brown says, get me involved in the game as soon as you can, and that helps out all the receivers, and, well, Jeff George has done that today.
Pull forward with Aragu's holding, and the Raiders take the early lead 7-0. 75 yards and 7 plays. George looking for his favorite target. Tim Brown, little ward-off move on Madison, in for the score. 24-yard play. The drive of 75 yards. It featured a 29-yard run by Napoleon Kaufman, offensive coordinator Ray Perkins calling the shots, and the payoff on the pass from George to Tim Brown, 24 yards. Pull forward, high kickoff down to the 1. Jarris McPhail. The 15, the 20, a nice move by McPhail, and finally pushed out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Back to the score.
Well, Sam Madison, it's a blitz, has no help deep, so he's expecting Tim Brown to go deep, and this is not fair against a rookie corner. They call that route a fade, which is a long pattern, a fade stop. So when Tim Brown stops and comes back, nobody there to help him out.
You see, the first 4 games, he had 4 touchdowns, and it's hard to believe that a man who catches so many passes could go 8-game drought without a touchdown until today.
I think the big thing is he just wants more plays designed for him, especially for him, especially down in the red zone, the +20 area of the field.
Double tight end Drayton and Ed Perry, the rookie from James Madison, and the handoff to Abdul-Jabbar. And he gets good yardage out to about the 38-yard line. Let's go to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dick, great game in Philadelphia between the Bengals and the Eagles. Brian Milne, 1-yard touchdown run with a minute to play, caps a 21-point fourth quarter for the Bengals to take a 42-41 lead. However, the Eagles have moved into field goal position with 10 seconds remaining. We'll keep you updated, Dick.
Boy, would you have thought Philadelphia and Cincinnati would be 42-41 at the start of the year. Bengals coming to life. Second down, Marino to Abdul-Jabbar, out to the 40-yard line, but short of a first down. Darrell Russell in on the tackle. 7-0. Raiders lead it as you look rushing offense per attempt, and you see that the Miami Dolphins down to 29th in the league, averaging just 3.16 per rush. They're hoping that the return of Stanley Pritchett to have a legitimate fullback will improve that average. It's third, a long one. Marino changing plays. Abdul-Jabbar eluded a man in the backfield and a first down. Russell, Maryland, was there to get him for a loss, but Abdul-Jabbar, some quick footwork to free himself.
I'll tell you, he does. This is all Jabbar running, because and Marino does check off. But if Greg Beaker, number 54, does not make this tackle, it might have been touchdown. Look at Jabbar. He is really, I mean, upfield, moves well. He just does it mostly by himself.
And Chester McLaughlin, the guy you got to block up front if you want to run the ball or get good pass protection. That time he was blocked.
3 straight Abdul-Jabbar runs in this sequence. And the first down, he gets it again. Gets outside at the 50. Good cutback, and the former UCLA star has a first down at the Raider 37-yard line. 18 on the play.
Well, you know, I find it amazing. I follow the Raiders like most teams in the league, and you think of the Raiders up front. Look at the holes here. Over pursuing, a cutback by Jabbar. Nobody in the backside to stop him, but the players they have up front, Russell Maryland, Chester McLaughlin, should be 2 good run stoppers. You should be able to form a good run defense around those 2 guys inside. The key to stopping any running game, the 2 inside defensive tackles.
First invasion of the Raider half of the field by Miami, trailing 7-0. Marino on first down, fires incomplete. Looking for Brett Perriman on the near sidelines. Well, the Raiders, if you're going to put the blame on one side of the ball, that's easy. The offense has moved the ball. The defense has allowed the other teams to move the ball. Last in the league. And you see,
well, we talked to Greg Beekert yesterday, and when you ask him, I'm sure they've heard all the questions before. He's the middle linebacker for the Raider defense, and he just says most of it just comes down to technique, not doing the proper things on plays. And well, you can label that a lot of things: discipline, trying hard, but whatever. Technique, getting it out of position, creating big plays for the other team.
A long hand. Bernie Parmalee, and he gets pushed back on a surge from Rod Fredrickson and Rob Holmberg. Brings up 3rd and long, and this report.
All right, Dick, at Philadelphia, Chris Bonio, 59 straight field goals under 35 yards. 5 seconds remaining. Bonio from 31 yards away is perfect. The Eagles come back to beat the Bengals 44-42. Boomer Esiason, 4 touchdown passes in defeat. Dick.
All right, Greg, and so the Eagles go to 6-6-1 with that dramatic win. Cincinnati making them play. 3rd down and 11. Marino's first completion, but it's not enough for a first down as Perriman tackled at the 32-yard line by Perry Carter. Now, Jimmy Johnson, will he try the long field goal or go for it?
No. They'll go for it on 4th down right away. We can see Jimmy offense stay on the field. This is the perfect spot. 33-yard line, where 4th and 5, you go for it.
Officially 4th and 4 as they break huddle at the 32-yard line. Three wides. Marino out of the backfield to Bernie Parmalee, and he has the first down at the 22-yard line. Jimmy Johnson was happy about the return of Stanley Pritchett, but even happier was Bernie Parmalee, who now goes back to his natural position, halfback.
Well, Bernie Parmalee, another good receiver. Raiders have a mix-up on defense. Nobody covers the back out of the backfield. Dan Marino spots really the only open guy on the field. Good job, gets the first down.
And you saw Turner when he turned around, Eric Turner, 42. That is not his man. He was looking, he wanted to know where a linebacker was.
First down at the 21 as we welcome those of you who've been watching the Eagles and the Bengals. Handoff to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He takes it to the 20-yard line. This is Dick Enberg along with Phil Simms, Paul McGuire, and Jim Gray. The Oakland Raiders have taken the early lead here at the Coliseum in Oakland with a 24-yard touchdown pass. Jeff George to his favorite receiver, Tim Brown. Now Miami, after that touchdown, has driven to the Raider 20-yard line. This is their best offensive thrust of the game for Jimmy Johnson. Incredibly, since the Dolphins were born in 1966, they've never won in this stadium. They're 0-8. Action before the snap.
Chester McLaughlin, number 91, offside.
Was he drawn off?
Prior to the snap, false start, number 78, offense. 5-yard penalty.
Richmond Webb, the 7-time Pro Bowl tackle.
Well, this is the one penalty that we've talked about all year long, that all the coaches talk about. You see Richmond Webb moving right there, and then Chester McLaughlin does the smart thing. He comes offside. But these are the dumb penalties. These are the ones that are inexcusable because they're pre-snap penalties.
3 minutes, 50 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. 7-0. The Raider lead. Second down and 14 for Marino and the Dolphins. To Perriman. What a catch at the 7-yard line. Perriman stumbling backwards. Reception worth 18 yards.
Well, I'll tell you, talk about total concentration by Perriman, and Perry Carter was number 20. This was excellent coverage. Look at it. Watch Perriman. He sees the ball, comes back, and falling down catches the football. That is total concentration on the ball.
Well, it was a good job by Brett Perriman off the line of scrimmage. Immediately beat Perry Carter. Perry Carter now is running, trying to catch up, chase the ball, and that's when the throw into the back shoulder behind the receiver is really important for the quarterback and receiver.
First and goal at the 7. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the man who leads the league in rushing touchdowns, coming in with 13. That happens to be a Miami record when you think of the men who have carried the ball in the history of Miami, starting with Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris. That's saying something, that Abdul-Jabbar in 12 games, 13 touchdown runs, most of those short range. They had 3 one-yarders last week, and in the last 2 years only Terrell Davis and Terry Allen by 1 have more rushing touchdowns than number 33 of the Dolphins. Second and goal. Marino calling out a new play.
He sees the blitz, changing the play.
Into the flat, incomplete. O.J. McDuffie tried to run before he caught it.
Boy, did you hit that on the head. He really did. He just took his eyes off the ball, and you can't do this. That ball is perfectly thrown.
Dan Marino does a good job checking the plays off. What he does, he gives O.J. McDuffie one-on-one against Perry Carter a chance to go outside, catch it, and maybe score. Got to catch it first, though, I guess.
No, the one thing is surprising. The footing on this field has been pretty good for these guys. Phil, it's a brand new field. It's only been here a week.
Only Brett Favre has more touchdowns per game than Dan Marino. Favre taking over this year. Marino's had only 11 touchdown throws. Looking for one here. Has plenty of time underneath. It's Jarris McPhail. A flag is down. McPhail is in the end zone. The flag thrown at the spot where Marino threw the ball.
Chester McLaughlin said it's holding against Miami, and he is absolutely right.
Richmond Webb trying to protect Marino.
Number 78 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
So that nullifies the tying touchdown.
Well, he's not mad. Marino's not mad. Richmond Webb, here he is on the left-hand side. But it's on Anthony. If the holding is if it's on Bucky, if it's on anybody, they called Webb. Both of them actually were holding, Webb and Bucky.
So the 6-yard touchdown pass wiped away by penalty, and now out at the 16-yard line, it's third and goal. 4 wides. Marino. Underneath, complete again to McPhail, but tackled at the 10. Fredrickson and Dan Land making the stop. And Marino hit as he threw the ball. So on comes Mare for the field goal.
Anthony Smith, number 94. He just stays with Marino, and as he throws, he just gets nailed by the linebacker, Lance Johnston.
So Mare, who's only 3 field goals away from a Miami rookie record, Fuad Reves will actually could tie with 2. Kicked 22 back in 1985. He has 20 this year, looking for 21, and boy, that one, bad snap to spot and kind of sliced that one through. It's 7-3 Oakland. Reminder to follow the NFL online at msnbcsports.com. Our own Jim Mora shares his thoughts on what he looks for in a great NFL running back, and then vote for who you think is the league's best. All at msnbcsports.com. 7-3 Oakland. Mare drills it deep into the end zone, and the Raiders will take the touchback at the 20. 1 minute, 16 seconds remain. Opening quarter in Oakland, California.
I tell you, I did see the movie, and I laughed through the whole thing. It is really a funny movie.
You like Chevy? You like his what is it? His brother-in-law in the movie?
Yeah.
Who is it? Uncle Rube?
Is he in that movie?
No, it wasn't.
I think they call him Uncle Eddie. It's Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid is terrific.
Harvey Williams takes the handoff on first down, and Williams rumbles for 8 yards before Zach Thomas can make the hit.
Zachary. Zachary Thomas, that's what he told us. Watch this guy. Look at the pursuit. Napoleon Kaufman trying to block. He just pushes him to the ground and gets out on Harvey Williams. It was an 8-yard gain, but you still, this guy makes some plays.
Zach Thomas, talking to him yesterday. He's such a good run stopper, has such good instincts. What'd you ask him, Dick? What's the one thing you dream about, you really want to do?
The interception.
I want to intercept a pass. We always want to do something we really can't do.
He's got one this year. Napoleon Kaufman zigging and zagging, and has the first down, it would appear, right at the 30-yard line. Anthony Harris and Zach Thomas to the tackle as we come down to the final seconds of this opening quarter.
Zach Thomas also wants to be 6 foot tall.
Well, yeah, he was pleased to know that, our last Miami game, we campaigned to send in those pre-tied ties because he only had 2 or 3 to go with his one suit.
Of those clip-ons?
And he's getting those ties. And we want to thank all the fans that understand a poor young man and despair.
The only problem is he doesn't know how to tie him.
Well, that's why you got to pre-tie him. Just like yours, those clip-ons.
I love that.
All right, end of the quarter. The Raiders with a 7-3 lead over the Miami Dolphins. Which one now is not the Raider fan? Quick, got it. Which one? Well, so far nobody got the answer.
I'm speechless.
Oh, okay. My. We open the second quarter with the Raiders leading 7-3. First down, the handoff, big hole for Kaufman, and he barrels out to the 39. A gain of about 9 before Anthony Harris can bulldog him down.
One thing about Napoleon Kaufman, Phil, when there's a hole, you don't have to hold it very long. Just get on your man. Watch this thing open up.
Well, it's a good job inside by Curtis Whitley, playing center today, and Barrett Robbins, usually the center, playing left guard or right guard. And of course, Steve Wisniewski inside, blowing the defensive line out of the way and creating that hole.
Those changes made because of the injury to Lester Holmes, who's on the sideline. Normally he starts at right guard. Second down and short, and Kaufman picks up 5 more out to the 44-yard line, and they're really ripping some sizable holes in the center of the Miami defense. 44 yards already for Napoleon Kaufman.
Well, Zach Thomas, he relies on Tim Bowens and Daryl Gardner inside, keeping people off of him so he can read, find the runner and make the tackle. But that time, it's just too far down the field making the tackle.
First down at the 44 for the Raiders. Jeff George with a touchdown pass to Tim Brown for the 7-3 lead. Called play action. Into the flat, it's deflected, and fortunately for the Raiders, falls between 2 Dolphins. It appeared Tim Bowens, 95, got a hand on it.
Tim Bowens, number 95.
That's what you do when you're a defensive line. Well, that ball actually hit him in the head.
Well, you got to block it with whatever you got. Can't always be your hands.
Whatever you got?
Yeah.
Put your face in there. That's exactly what he did. He put his face in there and knocked the ball down.
The man from Oklahoma, Mississippi, big furniture factory town in the state of Mississippi. Their #1 pick 3 years ago. Second and 10. George handing off. And it's Kaufman straight ahead into the arms of the 2 tackles, Gardner and Bowens. Make it Harvey Williams getting the carry that time.
I find it interesting. Yesterday, we had a chance to talk to Jeff George and Tim Brown, and this offense has put up some very good numbers this year, but it seems like nobody's really happy.
No, they really are not a happy football team, and when they seem like they're just going through the motions.
Third down and 8, and Brown will draw some attention as he moves out to the right side. Good pressure. George incomplete. And a man open. James Jett on the near sidelines.
Even though he doesn't get to the quarterback, Zach Thomas creates the hole for the blitzers to come through and pressure Jeff George, get rid of the ball, watch him come in. Harvey Williams want to pick him up. Not today. And leaves a big hole for Calvin Jackson to come in to make Jeff George throw the ball before he's ready. It's a little off target because of that.
Brings on Leo Aragus, who kicked at Stephen F. Austin. He was a free agent of the Dolphins 3 years ago. His first kick was 60 yards. Charles Jordan, former Raider, says get out of the way. And with a fair catch at the 27-yard line, we have a timeout. You're watching the NFL on NBC. Welcome back to the Coliseum in Oakland. Raiders in this second quarter with a 7-3 lead. Miami with the punt. Begin the series at the 27-yard line. Proving their rush at least early in this game with the return of Stanley Pritchett. Faked Abdul-Jabbar, and Marino on first down throws back incomplete. Down to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Dick. Well, Lawrence Phillips is a guy who the Miami Dolphins are definitely interested in. The St. Louis Rams released him a couple of weeks ago. I talked to Jimmy Johnson before the game, and he gave me this quote: "We're going to bring him in early this week, but only to talk to him. Nothing else. No other decisions have been made. We will not work him out. We will not sign him immediately. We only want to talk," and I want to stress that. That will probably happen early this week. Dick?
All right, Jim, the troubled, talented Phillips. Johnson and Dudley want to feel out his thoughts. Incomplete as the pass to Ed Perry, the rookie tight end from James Madison, goes through his hands. How do you see that comment about Jimmy Johnson interviewing Lawrence Phillips?
Well, I think a lot of teams are going to want to get a chance to look at Lawrence Phillips, talk to him, decide whether his problems off the field will affect their football team, affect the way he plays. And, you know, Jimmy's doing what I think he should do. You got to talk to these guys and see if there's a chance he can help your football team.
Well, Miami now 3rd down and 10. Marino has to step away from pressure to the sidelines. Complete. It's a first down. I thought I saw a flag fly. 12 yards on the play. Lamar Thomas, who played at Miami of Florida, makes the catch.
I'll tell you one thing about Marino: when he steps up to throw that baby, he gets his body in, and here comes his feet to Lamar Thomas. Good catch, keeps his feet in. But when Marino does, Phil, and he steps in, that baby's humming. You better catch it. It's going to kill you if you don't.
Not a whole lot of indecision in it, is it?
No, it really isn't.
No flag. And now Roosevelt Potts is a man that Jimmy Johnson is trying to rescue after a year on suspension for substance abuse. He's in the game, number 42. The throw complete to O.J. McDuffie. And the two number 81s in this game are worth watching. If you didn't watch a lot of football, just watch for 81. You got Tim Brown for the Raiders. O.J. McDuffie is Marino's favorite target.
Well, Tim Brown, I mean, it's a good job by O.J. McDuffie catching the ball in the crowd, and Dan Marino just getting rid of the ball was a good job. But once the defenders close on him, 3 of them coming around him, and Dan Marino, what has separated him so many years from the rest of the quarterbacks in the league, it's one of the reasons why he's a great player, moving in the pocket, creating room to throw the football.
He threw that ball between 4 guys.
12-yard pass and a first down at midfield. 11.5 minutes remaining in the opening half. Marino on first down throws it away. Roosevelt Potts was in the area in that left flat, and Darrell Russell putting the pressure on Marino.
Well, he didn't throw that thing away by choice. I mean, he had to do this thing, otherwise he would have gotten slammed.
Marino closing in on another 3,000-yard season. His numbers down a bit from his career, percentage down a bit. Only 11 touchdown passes this year, but typically just 8 interceptions, and he's rarely sacked. 2nd and 10. The handoff to McPhail, and Jarris McPhail high steps it to the 41-yard line. A 9-yard pickup before the 2 safeties, Trapp and Turner, can make the stop.
Well, this is just a perfect way to run a draw. You watch, there is a lead draw on this play. Parmalee, number 30, goes up. It gets an excellent block, and then McPhail comes right in behind him up the hole.
To the 41-yard line, 3rd and 1. McDuffie out to the right. Double tight ends. Someone was offside, and Abdul-Jabbar has the first down to the 37-yard line.
I guess you're allowed to get up close now. Encroachment doesn't count in this ball game. I don't think encroachment counts. It's going to be right here on the bottom of your screen. Watch this, folks. Is this? Well, I'm going to tell you what. That's a pretty good jump by Darrell Russell.
And Abdul-Jabbar, through some good wedge blocking, has the first down at the 37-yard line. 38 yards rushing on 8 tries. Over 30 years of coaching, Joe Bugle. There's Joe Gibbs back in the studio, one of the many who admire Bugle, who's had a rough first year as the head man here in Oakland. 4-8, and Marino covers his own fumble at the 39-yard line. 2-yard loss on the play.
Anytime you see the ball drop straight down, that means the quarterback just didn't get his bottom hand. Yep, well, that's what happened. Dan Marino didn't put enough pressure with his bottom hand, and when they separate, the ball goes through him.
Marino able to cover the fumble, but the few times that Miami has given up the ball, and they're about the best in the league, it's been from the quarterback position. The rest of the team has only lost 3 fumbles. Spikes, Abdul-Jabbar, and Barnett. That's rather remarkable.
That's also the kiss of death.
Yeah.
2nd down and 12. Marino to Thomas, wide open as he beats Terry McDaniel, a gain of 19.
Phil, another one of those short passes. Throw behind the defender.
The receiver's covered, but it's a good job immediately. As soon as Dan Marino catches the ball, he sees Lamar Thomas is covered by Terry McDaniel. Throw it behind him. He jumps, makes the catch before Terry McDaniel can even react to the football.
And in football lingo, what does the quarterback call that particular pass?
There's really no calling to it. It's just something you see the receiver in practice, Dick. You do it so many times, you're able to adjust on the run during the game.
First down at the 20.
It's called out for it. You better catch it.
Okay, now I know. Abdul-Jabbar for 1. Rob Fredrickson in that pass tackle.
Pass protection has been pretty good for Dan Marino today.
Well, there's so many reasons why he does get good pass protection. One, he does a good job moving in the pocket. He gets rid of the ball fast. And if you're an offensive lineman blocking for maybe the greatest quarterback ever, you take a lot of pride in protecting somebody like that.
I bet you do. I bet you do. That's a great point.
32 more for another 3,000-yard season for Marino. He guns it. Caught by Drayton, the tight end. He juggled. Troy Drayton able to pull it in inside the 10. And it's 1st and goal for Miami, trailing the Raiders 7-3.
This has kind of been the new thing in this Miami offense. I think it's starting to open it up and make it a little more aggressive, throwing the ball to the tight end. Troy Drayton came in kind of slow, got off to a slow start, wasn't catching many balls. But in the last 5 or 6 weeks, Marino's starting to look for him more and more, and they're putting in some plays for him to catch the ball too.
14 on that play. They spotted at the 6-yard line. 1st and goal. Dolphins endeavoring to take the lead here in the first half. McDuffie in motion. The give to Abdul-Jabbar. Drop for a loss as Chester McLaughlin shooting through. The 325-pound McLaughlin with a loss in the play.
The one thing about Chester McLaughlin that we know in the past and in the present, when he wants to, there is no one person going to block Chester McLaughlin. Look at the move he makes. He throws away the guard, he gets in the block, throws him away, and comes around and makes a play. That's the Chester McLaughlin that they would like to see here on every play.
Jimmy Johnson said early in games, this guy is almost unblockable. Somehow you got to tire him out so you have a chance later in the game.
2nd and goal after the loss. Marino looking for the left flat to Stanley Pritchett and threw it away as he was well covered by James Trapp. McLaughlin again with the pressure on the quarterback, and Abdul-Jabbar limps off.
Well, you made a point too that when Jabbar, but because of having Parmalee back in his position with Pritchett there, that gives them some more running backs that they didn't have in the middle of the year.
3rd and goal at the 8-yard line as they'll attend to Abdul-Jabbar, who is their touchdown maker. And Keith Sims out. Jeff Bucky replaces him at left guard. Jarris McPhail in motion. And the throw underneath. Touchdown! Charles Jordan, the former Raider. He was here with the Raiders for a year. And he gives Miami the lead for the first time with his 18th catch of the year.
Remember what Jimmy Johnson said, patience, patience, patience?
Well, that's what that was. It was a good job of the Dolphins. They empty the backfield. They cross some receivers underneath. The Raiders get confused in coverage. Wide open receiver for the touchdown.
Jordan's 2nd touchdown this year. Played at Long Beach City College. Out of football when picked by the Raiders. Murray adds the extra point, and Miami seeking a victory they've never accomplished here in this stadium. Takes a 10-7 lead.
And outside, going to come under. Here's the person that creates the hole. Rob Holmberg leaves the middle of the field, chases the receiver. Should not have done that. That's why it was wide open in the middle.
Jordan with the touchdown, 8 yards, and a 10-7 Miami lead. 7 minutes remaining in the first half, and this is Desmond Howard. Finally gets a little crease and caught by an ankle and dropped at the 24-yard line by O.J. Brigance. 381 touchdown passes ago. Dan Marino's very first, 1983. It was against the Raiders. Tight end Joe Rose, 6 yards for the score. Dolphins lost that game. Marino with his 381st with a touchdown to Jordan, 8 yards today. Raiders now trailing by 3, begin at their 23-yard line. Napoleon Kaufman. Well, for a little man, he's got great leg power. Hit, gains 3 yards after the hit. Daryl Gardner made the stop. Wisniewski, when during the timeout, was going through something we had never quite seen before.
Well, he's not standing on 2 little gumbies. Well, these are for balance, right?
Oh, well, yeah, that's for balance. Practices pass set. You know, quarterbacks throw a football, linemen they do their pass sets, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to borrow those, and we're going to put them in front of your room at night.
Put him in his bed. He would know that.
See if you can balance yourself before you walk in.
I could balance.
Second down. And Kaufman through a big hole again. And once more he's hit. Gets another 3 yards after a solid tackle by Sean Wooden.
Well, Steve Wisniewski inside. This is one of the best linemen still in the National Football League. Number 76. Seals it off. Then comes off, gets in the way of Dwight Hoyer just a little, just enough to create that hole. He's a big lineman, aggressive. And Napoleon, when you run this fast, you got to fall forward once you get hit.
Well, Pat Harlow, 77, he also got a great block. He was blocking down, had Daryl Gardner, just took him right down to the middle of the field.
13 more yards for Kaufman, now has 62 in the first half. Kaufman again to the 45-yard line, a gain of 3. Derek Rogers makes the tackle. Napoleon Kaufman, who ran for 5,000 yards in high school, 4,000 yards at the University of Washington. He said, I've proven I can take the pounding. Why did they doubt? And now in his 3rd year after a first-round pick, former Husky is showing the league. He started with 1,088 coming into this game. Nip, nickname his grandmother gave him. Lompoc, California. Tim Hall gives him a breather. Both wide receivers left, and they give to Hall. Only a yard as Daryl Gardner got a big old arm around him. Well, next Saturday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, we invite you to relive the thrilling moments of the 1997 USGA Championships, from Ernie Els' impressive U.S. Open win to Nancy Lopez's heartbreaking finish in the Women's Open. Then at 4 o'clock, Jack Nicklaus, Raymond Floyd, Hale Irwin, and many more team up with their sons in the Office Depot Father-Son Challenge. That's all next Saturday, 3 o'clock on NBC. 3rd down and 6. George easing back and throwing long for Brown, and just misses connections. That was just a foot short, and down go the flags as Sam Madison, the rookie, and Tim Brown throw a little extra action after the bell.
Well, Tim Brown, Dick, has no reason to do this. I mean, Sam Madison is down there with him. He's covered. Tim Brown thinks he's holding him. He doesn't get the call. The ball is overthrown, and then turns around and just hits Sam Madison in the chest with 2 hands.
I think Sam Madison said something after the play, and Tim Brown didn't like what was being said.
Well, I mean, yeah, but there's no excuse for doing what he just did. Or it's going to be 4th down anyway. Now it's going to cost you 15 because this is after the play. This is unsportsmanlike conduct after the play, another 15 yards. I think you're right. I think Sam Madison said something, but Tim Brown, as it comes down.
Well, the Dolphins have come out. They've been aggressive. Blitzing, a little late shove by Sam Madison.
Unnecessary roughness, number 81. After the play was over,
Sam, come on, Sam.
The down will count. 4th down.
Take it back to the 30-yard line.
Well, that's what I thought I saw. It was for a rookie, Sam Madison's really caught on quick. I mean, he just gets touched here and he goes down.
That's one of those wrestling falls, isn't it?
It really was.
They said he wanted to grow up to be a baseball player. You know, that's when you're bailing out of the box there. You got to learn that high inside.
That was both feet in the bucket right there.
Well, it works. Yeah. Aragoose the punt with Charles Jordan, the touchdown maker, back at the Miami 27.
Good kick.
Good.
Another great kick.
He really hit this one back to the 15. Jordan to the 25 and out to the 33-yard line. Good return by Jordan of a 54-yard Leo Aragoose punt. We'll be right back in Oakland.
Like your new hat. Look at Dickie's hat.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Hey, am I a company man or what?
It's time for some time off. That's what it is.
I think so. It's been a long week.
Right. Well, happy after Thanksgiving anyway.
I like it.
Hey, how about next week? We got a big one in Pittsburgh, Denver, and the Steelers.
Excited about it.
I'm excited about this one. This is a good football game here.
And Miami a lot at stake. A chance to move into three-way tie in the AFC East. With a victory against the Raiders, they lead 10-7. Hand off to Abdul-Jabbar. Limped off last we saw him, but at full speed again out to the 43. A pickup of 5. Well, Dan Marino has spread the wealth in terms of the passing game today. 7 different receivers used. And the one catch by Jordan, 8 yards for a touchdown.
What that tells me is if you're open, he's going to find you.
Well, that, and also it tells me they don't have a great receiver, because you have a great one, you design plays for him, you look for him more often, and Dan's just trying to find the open guy and get it to him.
Well play, and it's Abdul-Jabbar. And he has a first down at the Raider 48-yard line.
I mean, somebody's got to tackle somebody, don't they? I mean, isn't what the defenses are designed to tackle people. Honestly, they really are, Dick. And that's one of the things you're supposed to do.
Well, we know the Dolphins have struggled with the running game. Well, we saw a graphic earlier. They're averaging about a little over 3 yards per rush today. Again, I know it's a theme you hear all the time. Look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar averaging 3.13 yards per carry.
And that's the lowest average of the top 40 runners in the entire league. Productive today. Bernie Parmalee giving Abdul-Jabbar a breather, and he gains 4 on first down. Lorenzo Lynch, the tackler.
Let's go back to something you said. You said about when you look at Marino throwing this ball to all these guys, Phil, there should be a package if you have a guy like O.J. McDuffie. So there should be a package. That's one thing that really surprised you about the Raiders for Tim Brown.
Well, Tim Brown mentioned that. I asked him, is there a special package for you each game? Do they have up in the corner of a game plan? He says, no, I've never had that since I've been here. And I was honestly very surprised and shocked. A receiver of his caliber, you should have special plays for him.
Marino, quick key over the middle, incomplete to Parmalee. Just to go back to Abdul-Jabbar, and we mentioned that 3.1 for all the top rushers in the league, the lowest average. But today, Abdul-Jabbar at 4.6. The addition of Stanley Pritchett, a legitimate fullback in the backfield, although he's not in on every play, has to help this young man.
Well, it does, and the Raider defense has helped a lot of runners around the league this year. You know, they just had a terrible time stopping a run, and they have quality defensive linemen in there. The linebackers are active. They shouldn't be giving up the running yards they do.
3rd and 6 from Marino at the 44. It's Charles Jordan again, and Jordan is skipping into the end zone. Almost started a showboat too soon. It's a 44-yard play.
Let me tell you one thing about this pass catch by Jordan. You talk about it takes a lot of guts to go across the middle. I mean, it looks like he is going to get killed, and he's got to know that they're flying up. And to hold on to that football is amazing to me. I mean, anybody could have dropped this. Watch this.
Well, they're covered. Dan Marino at the last second decides to throw the ball inside to Charles Jordan. Bad technique by the Raiders secondary. Paul, he should have got knocked out on the play. The safety, Eric Turner, was there to make it. Bad angle. The result is a touchdown.
34 yards, and Murray adds the extra point, and the lead is 17-7. Eric Turner was the man who had a shot at Jordan, but Charles Jordan, former Raider, 2 touchdowns today. In his incredible career, over 3,000 yards in a season for Dan Marino, and a couple more touchdown passes thrown in today.
Why not?
Although Charles Jordan flirting with a Leon Lett there, showboating at about the 5-yard line.
Well, it's not that he really was, Dick. You know, it's just the fact that he did it. Just get in the end zone, then celebrate a little, but to do it before, you know, it's just wrong.
Murray kicks it off 17-7 now. The Raiders trail as Desmond Howard brings it back for the Raiders. Not very far. Tim Jacobs, the first to get there inside the 15-yard line. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Well, let's watch what happens. Bad angle, bad technique. Charles Jordan up top comes in. Now watch Eric Turner, the safety, when he comes up. Doesn't take the proper angle. And this really should be, I don't want to say a knockout, but it should have been an incompletion. He should have driven through the receiver, didn't do that.
You see Turner coming there. Boom. I mean, he should have just labeled him right there. But this is the thing that really bothers you. You make a great play like this, and then you showboat into the end zone. You see Turner right there missing. He should have taken him out.
Now, the one thing I will say, though, that is a really good catch by Charles Jordan in traffic, knowing the safety was running up.
A two-handed touch from Turner. Now it's Tim Brown twisting away from the Miami defender. And Brown all the way to the 45, the 49. Derek Rogers finally bringing him down.
There's some days that these two guys have a chemistry, and George and Brown have it today.
Well, that time the Raiders did something they usually don't do. They put Tim Brown to the backside to make sure he's singled up. Usually he stays to the side of the tight end. To the other side, works on a different corner, gets single coverage, and makes a big play.
Raiders have used a timeout with 1:29 remaining in the half. That was a 36-yard play. And important for the Raiders to get something out of this drive as we head to the intermission. And with that in mind, we remind you that coming up at halftime, it's the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report. Greg Gumbel, Joe Gibbs, Chris Collinsworth, Sam White. We're all in our New York studios with the scores and highlights from around the league. Joe Gibbs, before the Kansas City win against the 49ers today, saying he thinks Marty Schottenheimer be his coach of the year. And then Schottenheimer and the Chiefs go out and devour the 49ers, only their second loss this year.
Couldn't argue with that selection, that's for sure.
Brown, another catch, tackled immediately by Derek Rogers.
Tim Brown was wide open as soon as he left the line of scrimmage. Nobody was on him, and Jeff George didn't see him because he wasn't the primary target.
Brown bears watching, and they pointing him out on the Miami defense. He's in the slot left. Clock running, 1:13, 1:12.
Okay, I'm going.
Brown with 5 catches today and a touchdown. Underneath again to Harvey Williams, and Zach Thomas finishes the job at the 39. A first down for the Raiders. Clock under a minute now.
Phil, if you take that much time at the line of scrimmage, you might as well go in the huddle.
Well, he's trying to make sure he has the right play. Good job so far. Don't rush. The one thing you want to do is you just want a good field goal attempt first, and if you get a chance to score, that'll be great.
Let me ask you a question about clock management that you talk about almost every game. Some people do it very well, some don't. The Raiders still have 2 timeouts. They have 48 seconds. Why would you burn a play?
I can't argue that time with you, Paul. I think you're kind of right. 2 timeouts. This time, I think a play is very important because you have time to run any selection of plays you want. You could actually have a running play that time, called one real quick, and then call a timeout after the running play.
I'm going to move.
Second down and 10. George able to elude the rush, and now throws to the sideline. Caught. Tiptoed by Desmond Howard. Only the 4th catch of the year for Howard, the former Packer. And he gets out of bounds to stop the clock with his drive, remember, started way back at the Raider 14. George sidearms that one. Is it caught? No, he didn't get it inbounds. Yes, they are going to say. Jimmy Johnson said no, he was juggling. Stay in bounds. That's why Tim Brown's one of the great receivers in the league. His 6th catch. George now with a half minute left in the first half, throws it closest to control of the football. 29 seconds left. 2nd and 10. Blitz.
Can't pick it up.
George running for his life and then throwing incomplete. Harvey Williams, the intended receiver. Anthony Harris came through cleanly. His linebacker position.
Yeah, it's a couple times they've run this blitz and they're coming free. Watch from up top. You're going to see the blitz. The Raiders can only pick up 1, but this is something that has kind of surprised me about Jeff George this year. moves around a lot better in the pocket than I ever thought he did when he played for, you know, the Colts and the Atlanta Falcons. Able to get out of trouble and create some plays down the field.
But you know about his arm. I mean, he's got great arm strength.
Down to 23 seconds and 3rd and 10. Brown in motion inside, then back out. George looking for Brown. Hit from behind, and down he goes. At the 28 is Jerry Wilson, the cornerback. Extra defense.
Goal attempt awful tough.
And so a 47-yard field goal attempt by Cole Ford. Lines it wide to the left. Not close. And so the Raiders, after taking an early lead 7-0, 17 unanswered points, and the sack pushed Ford out of his range apparently. As
well, that's a good point, Dick. You never know. The kicker goes, all of a sudden it's another 10 yards. Well, I got to give it just that little bit extra. What he does, just like gets over the top of the ball, going to pull it left. Opportunity like this to maybe take a chance, run one play. Who knows? A draw play could get 25 yards. Don't give them that chance for that cheap score. Well, and stay in the league and do something for next year. But this is an older, established team the Raiders have, and you know the enthusiasm is taken out of their game by being 4-8.
Jarris McPhail takes the kickoff to start the second half, and he's out to the 22-yard line, and very near the site of the assassin is Jim Gray.
All right, thank you, Dick. Well, Joe Bugle understandably very unhappy, and most particular his defensive backfield with all the blown assignments and missed coverages. He says we just have to do so much better. We are not even giving ourselves a chance. Now, as for Jimmy Johnson, Sam Madison rolled his ankle on the touchdown pass to Tim Brown, came over to the sidelines, got very frustrated. He's going to be replaced here in the second half by George Teague, and Madison will only play in nickel situations. Other than that, he's very happy and plans no other changes. Dick?
All right, thank you, Jim. Dan Marino with a couple of touchdown throws the first half, begins just outside his 20-yard line. And Bernie Parmalee gets the call, and Chester McLaughlin and Greg Biekert make the tackle. Now look at Marino and matching his marks against Jeff George of the Raiders. And very similar, although in numbers, but Marino throwing to 7 different targets, while George looking for his favorite Tim Brown, hitting him 6 of the 9 completions.
I'd throw to Tim Brown, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. If Dan had him, he'd be throwing a lot of balls to him too.
Second down and long. Marino. And a very tough catch from O.J. McDuffie coming back to meet the ball. Albert Lewis all over him. Brings up 3rd down and long 2.
You know, this is one of those games, Phil, when you're looking at these quarterbacks and they're throwing the ball to these receivers on the outside, they are catching everything.
Well, that's just a good example of seeing the ball coming to you. Watch O.J. McDuffie. Not only does he gets up, gets the body, but reaches out with his hands and makes the catch.
Officially 3rd down and 3, although the ball's right on the 28-yard line. We got to go to the 31. Marino, quickie, tough catch, but for only a yard to Troy Drayton, so that won't be enough for the first down as Rob Fredrickson, who had a tough game in Denver Monday night, makes a good play there.
Well, that was tight coverage. I'm surprised Dan Marino even tries to throw it in there. Watch 53, Rob Fredrickson does a good job. Could have gone underneath and probably knocked this down, but excellent job of keeping the tight end Troy Drayton in his grasp so he can't catch the ball and fall forward for the first down.
You know, when you looked at that ball, I mean, it's not going to be a first down, but when you looked at Troy Drayton where he catches the football, if he has control of the ball where he catches it, it's a first down. But he didn't have control of the ball. He had to pull it into his chest to get control, and once he did that, he lost the first down.
A man with 3 rings. In fact, his little boat or small yacht is named the 3 rings for his championship at Miami, and of course 2 NFL titles with the Dallas Cowboys. He'd like to get that 4th. Feels this is a better team than last year's.
Then he'd have to buy a new boat
and then rename his restaurant.
That's right.
Well, when you win, you can do those things.
Not a problem. John Kay at the punt. Desmond Howard looking for that one big return, and a disappointment in that regard for the Raiders. At the 26-yard line he stands. Kidd High spiral toward the sidelines. Howard fair catch at the 22. So the Raiders get it for the first time in the second half. Ground to make up. They trail by 10.
UPS, the official package delivery company of the NFL. And by Prestone Antifreeze. Protect your car in the Prestone zone.
Welcome back to the Oakland Coliseum, and one of the Raider greats of the past, Jack Tatum, roaming the sidelines. I'm thinking about Al Davis. You play for him, you're always invited back. First down at the 22. Napoleon Kaufman meeting some resistance after a yard pickup, and a flag goes down after the tackle. Rogers and Thomas made the stop. Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Dick. Well, exactly right. Another one of the guys who's always welcome around here, the Mad Bomber, Darryl LaMonica. Good to see you, Darryl. Warren Wells, Hewart Dixon, all those guys you used to throw the ball to. What's your fondest memory coming back to the stadium?
Well, just seeing all the guys and seeing the old players and being in the atmosphere again. But we've got to score a few more points right now. We've got to be able to put the ball down the field vertically, I think, a little more than we are right now, though.
Well, you got a guy out there who's wearing your number, Jeff George. What do you think of Jeff and his abilities?
A great athlete. He's got tremendous arm. He throws the ball from almost any position. I think he's got to learn to turn the ball over, put a little more air under it, because we've got the receivers. Once they can figure that out, I think he's going to be tremendous. He's a great guy, too.
Did he get your number with your blessing, or were you kind of sorry to see that?
No, with my blessing. Of course, I've got a lot of, I bleed the silver and black, not pride and poise, but he's a great athlete, and I think he'll do justice to the number.
Darryl, great to see you. It's always a pleasure to see you, George Bland, and all the X-Raiders. Back up to you, Dick.
All right, Jim, it was an illegal crackback on the last play and the penalty, and now the screen to Napoleon Kaufman, gets a block, and down the sidelines, and finally pushed out of bounds. He picked up the first down at the 36-yard line. George Teague was the last Dolphin left. 24-yard play.
You remember when Zach Thomas talks about an ankle breaker? This is what he meant by this ankle breaker. Watch the move that Kaufman makes right here. Bump, bump.
First and 10 Raiders.
And the last guy, George Teague, is the last person that has a chance to keep Napoleon from going for the touchdown.
And if Kaufman had any more room on the sidelines, he had the speed to get by Teague. And he contributes again. 2 catches for 32 yards, 65 yards rushing. Always a threat, Kaufman.
That's why you throw screen plays, just to get the ball in Napoleon's hands, hoping he can do something like that with the ball.
No hole this time. Well, you saw LaMonica and his number 3 being worn now by Jeff George. The Raiders do not retire jerseys, so you have some interesting matchups here in that regard. Willie Brown and Larry Brown both wearing 24, and Fred Biletnikoff, another Hall of Famer for the Raiders. Dan Land carries his number. Barrett Robbins is the Gene Upshaw. Scott Whitaker and Ted Hendricks, 83. Mad Stork, Ricky Dudley, the tight end. And there's Fred Biletnikoff, number 25. In fact, Tim Brown is just a handful of catches away from passing Biletnikoff as the all-time receiver in Raider history. Dudley unable to pull that one in as Dwight Hollier ripped it away.
Zach Thomas, now he gets by the offensive lineman, but he didn't realize, I don't think, that Napoleon Kaufman's going to step up. Watch Zach Thomas, 54, by the lineman, bam! Napoleon can block.
Dudley unable to come up with a catch, however. There's Zach, who played at Texas Tech, was too short. Many of the teams thought to be an NFL linebacker, so he lasted until the 5th round, despite the fact he led Tech in tackles every year. Got a great instincts, doesn't he, Phil?
A lot of people wanted to draft Zach Thomas, but they kept waiting and waiting, thinking they could get him even later in the draft. Jimmy Johnson got fortunate and picked him in the 5th round.
George unable to elude the rush and is sacked for the 3rd time. Calvin Jackson from a safety spot and Shane Burton share the sack.
Well, the one thing that surprised me today, you see all the speed, or you think of all the speed the Raiders have. The Miami Dolphins, what they have been doing, trying to pressure the quarterback. When you see blitzes like this, that tells you that the receivers are down the field one-on-one, but Jeff George cannot find them open deep.
Looks like Burton will get the full sack, and it'll be his 4th of the year. Aragoose to punt. With Charles Jordan back at the Miami 25. The first Raider possession of the second half doesn't produce anything exciting, and now Jordan checking the oncoming rush. He's going to try to return and is pulled down at the 38-yard line. Timeout, 10:57 remaining in the 3rd period. Rolling Stones concert, and after the concert they had to lay new sod. The Bay Area familiar with British rock invasions. Across the bay 31 years ago, the Beatles made their final concert appearance in the United States. 31 years ago. That's, you know, they just don't scream like that anymore, or do they?
Yeah, they do. They really do.
So there you are at the 38-yard line. 17-7 Miami. Abdul-Jabbar getting outside and cutting back inside. Nearly 10 yards on the play. And here's a big Beatles fan, Jim Gray.
Well, that's right, Dick. Well, it was 1966. Back in my entertainment days, in fact, you know, it was one of my very first interviews here in the Bay Area, and the fans were just absolutely going nuts over Paul McGuire.
What's wrong?
I love Paul and I can't tell him. I want him to know I love him. He can't know it.
Why can't you tell him?
They won't let me down there.
You know, I'm with this guy every week, and I still don't get it, Dick.
Eat your heart out, baby. Hey, you know, what you have,
that is hard days nights all over.
31 years of that.
They were looking at, they wrote it just for you.
31 years ago. And I tell you that, I'm going to tell you now that those, eat your heart out, honey. I told her then, I'm telling her again.
I wish you just quit following us on the road.
I know.
17. What's happened to us? Second down. And 6. Something about the music, you know what I mean? At the 48-yard line. Long handoff to Abdul-Jabbar, no gain. Read well by Albert Lewis playing, boy, is he up close to the line of scrimmage.
Well, Albert Lewis on a blitz that time, trying to, hey, the Raiders got to try to make a play somewhere. Taking a chance, finally, blitzing the corner. But the Dolphins didn't cooperate. They had a run on instead of a pass.
And you're right. I mean, this Raider defense, they are last in about almost every category, Dick, and they're last in defense. And they've really got to do something here and turn this game around, because it's obviously offense, you know, against Miami's defense, they're not doing very well. Now, I can do that.
Third down and 8. Marino on the run, incomplete and intercepted. Lorenzo Lynch on the carom, and he's back to the 48-yard line. Lynch with the interception, his second of the season.
Well, the ball is tipped, but the first thing that happens, you get pressure on the quarterback, you make the quarterback run out of the pocket, and then if you're hustling and everybody's moving around, something good can happen. Troy Drayton, the tight end, number 84, tips it.
That's Rob Fredrickson who got in there.
He keeps it alive, and the interception occurs. Troy Drayton, he thinks it's to him.
And then Fredrickson knocks it away from Abdul-Jabbar.
And Lorenzo Lynch does a good job reaching down, making the interception. Hey, the defensive front, they caused it by flushing Dan Marino out of the pocket, helping create the turnover.
Only the 8th interception all year by the Raider defense. George off play action, and now fires it to Brown at the 35, the 30, and Brown tripped up at the 25-yard line. He was building steam for the goal line.
Boy, you hit that on the head. You talk about firing the ball. I mean, he threw it all this time.
Well, we heard Daryl LaMonica say Jeff George can throw that ball from anywhere, and that's what he does. When he's moving around and his feet are shuffling in the pocket, watch this. He's just going to, sidearm, whips it out there. That's a quality that really no other quarterback in the league has, except Brett Favre, being able to throw the ball so hard and accurately from the different angles.
7 catches now for Brown to give him 578 in the career, only 4 behind Biletnikoff. And now for the end zone. Brown again, incomplete. That one just did miss as Terrell Buckley was beaten on the play.
Well, I'll tell you, Harvey Williams gets another good block on Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas has got to think, wait a minute, in the shooting gallery, and they're setting up for him. They know that when Zach Thomas commits himself, he comes in a hurry. And Harvey Williams at times just steps up. Watch, here comes 54. Look at 22, Harvey Williams. Goes down at the knees, bam!
Well, Harvey Williams learned, go low. It's easier to knock him down that way. Terrell Buckley really in very good position on the outside. Tim Brown trying to chase it down. Sorry, Joe, no pass interference.
Second down and 10 at the Miami 26. Looking for Kaufman. There's the throw, incomplete. Defense of the Dolphins took that one away.
Are you surprised to see the Dolphins blitzing as much as they are, Phil? Because, you know, Jimmy's pretty conservative.
I'm shocked. I can't get over it. He says we're going to start out slow, but they have been doing that right from the start. George Hill, the defensive coordinator, and they're getting to the quarterback. They're making Jeff George flush out of the pocket quite a bit, and they're covering these receivers down the field well.
17-7, Miami leading after the Raiders scored first in the game. George now is 11 for 21, 1 touchdown, no picks. 3rd and 10. Tim Brown in motion to the inside.
Blitz.
Now goes outside, and the catch incomplete. Taken over by Brown, but Sam Madison able to get enough contact to knock it away. So bugle now. The call is to send out the field goal kicker, Colton Ford, who missed in the first half from 47 yards right at the end of the half. Ford, who's longest this year, in fact, 53 yards. And this one will be a fairly good sized kick. It's going to be more than 40. They're going to mark it about 44.
What's a kicker do, Paul? Once they hook the first one real bad.
Watch out right.
Kind of push it right a little bit, don't you?
I don't know. I mean, you.
Well, this is his stadium. He should know there's the wind. Kick it down the middle. That's what you do.
Nothing wrong with that one. Dead center. And Joe Bugles. Raiders pull within a touchdown. It's Miami 17-10. You're watching the NFL on NBC. Wide Web on NFL.com, the league's official website. Visit NFL.com for all the scores and statistics, including a complete roundup of this weekend's scores in action. Plus, you can chat live with some of the NFL's biggest stars, all on NFL.com. 17-10, Miami's lead reduced to 7. Kick comes down to Jarris McPhail. McPhail tripped up as he hits the 20-yard line. And a timeout, 7:34 remaining in the third here in Oakland, California. About linemen very often, but Tim Ruddy, the center for the Dolphins, certainly worthy of that. He's the biggest in several categories of the Miami Dolphins, and we'll show you how he's #1 in Miami after this play as the Dolphins start from the 21. Marino gets away from the rush. Russell chases, and Marino able to dump it off. That was Russell, Darrell Russell, the rookie, pressuring Marino. Well, back to Ruddy, who attended Notre Dame. He is the biggest of the Dolphins in chest, 54 inches, neck at 20, and most importantly, an academic All-America 3.86 at Notre Dame. Mechanical engineering, all A's, his last 2 years at Notre Dame. Not a bad guy to be calling checks there in the middle of the line.
I think he's going to make some good decisions in there for the offensive line, calling out the checks. You're right, Dick.
Little trouble for Marino, running out of time now. 2-1, gets it off. Throws incomplete. Good coverage by Albert Lewis as we go to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dick, in Arizona, the Cardinals giving the Steelers a fight. It was tied at 10 until Jerome Bettis went in from 7 yards out, his second touchdown of the day, and the Steelers back on top of the card, 17-10 late in the fourth quarter, Dick.
All right, Greg, you know, the nice thing about Bettis, you know, they never jump on his back when he scores. With that motion that he has, you kind of stay away from him. You just yell over, nice going, Butts.
You hit right in the mouth.
Third down, and the full 10. Marino shotgun on top. What a catch. It's Jordan again, and Charles Jordan with a career game against the team that used to pay his salary. He has 2 touchdowns and another fine catch on that play.
Albert Lewis, again, the Raiders. Paul, we talked about it. Look at the top of your screen. You're going to see a blitzer come in. Good job. Tim Ruddy gets out, sees him, makes Albert Lewis jump over. Anytime there's a blitz, single coverage outside, Dan Marino, he recognizes that immediately, throws the ball up the field. This time, he leads the receiver against Perry Carter. Excellent throw and catch.
First down at the 44. It was a 23-yard play. Abdul-Jabbar. breaking tackles, and then down at the 49-yard line, James Trapp able to get enough body on him to knock him off balance.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you talk about sensational balance on a football player. Now watch this play. He cuts back to his left. If he can maintain his balance here, he goes. But he gets hit by Trapp, and down he goes. But he still picked up about 6 yards on the play.
Went to Los Angeles Dorsey High School. Was a teammate of Keyshawn Johnson, the wide receiver of the Jets. At the 49, second down and 5. Abdul-Jabbar again, and not much this time. Chester McLaughlin makes the defensive play. Dan Marino finding the open man, and today it's been Charles Jordan, 2 touchdown catches and a 23-yard reception to keep this drive alive.
I knew Dan Marino was going to play well today. One reason. One, last week he threw a couple interceptions, very upset about, and we've seen it in the past. We get a chance to talk to him the day before the game, and when he comes in really mad, and really, yeah, how you doing? What do you want to know? All right, good, I'll see you. And he's upset. He's got that chip on his shoulder. He always does a good job of rebounding after a bad game.
Third down and a long 3, and he's trying to hit Lamar Thomas, and a flag thrown. Thomas denied his right to the ball by Terry McDaniel. Or are they going to call it the other way? The Raiders started to celebrate, but no, it's going to be against McDaniel.
No, just you know, the one thing we talk about holding and pass interference and all these things, this is pass interference when you impede on the progress of the receiver. I know we say it an awful lot, but this is an example of it right now with
Pass
Terry McDaniel.
Number 36 on the defense. Automatic first down.
You can't push this guy. You can't get your hands on him. Terry, you have no complaint on this play. This is an excellent call. On the bottom of the screen, watch his hands. Terry McDaniel, first of all, this is fine right here. Everything here is good. But from here on out, as he pushes him to the outside, and the official is standing, you can see the flag coming in. The official sees it all the way. I mean, the pass interference was before this.
So the 20-yard interference penalty gives Marino and Miami a first down at the Raider 29. Changing his call.
He did, and the Raiders changed the defense right along with him.
Had a man open, but couldn't hit Brett Perriman.
That's why you can't be too obvious all the time with your checkoffs as a quarterback. He changes the play, and the Raiders go, well, if he's changing, we better change to something because he's calling a good play to go against our blitz.
I'd like to go back a minute to Terry McDaniel. He's been kind of a forgotten man for the Raiders this year. Here's a man, 5 consecutive Pro Bowls, no interceptions this year, injured early. It's really taken the life out of his game. This is one of the premier corners in the league.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Dick, you say that watching him play, he's a corner that usually likes to play off. I've seen him up in those situations where he's bumping today, bumping the receiver. He always likes to keep his eye on the quarterback so he knows when the ball's going to be thrown his way.
Incomplete, and no flag as O.J. McDuffie defended by Albert Lewis, and Marino and O.J. McDuffie thought they had another call.
James Trapp getting into O.J. McDuffie's face after the play. This is just excellent coverage.
Well, Albert Lewis, a fast defender, has good size, able to run with receivers. I've always thought he's one of the best bump man coverage corners in the NFL.
And if there is a leader on this defensive football team of the Raiders, this is the guy, Albert Lewis, number 29. At least he takes that responsibility.
Third down and 10, 8th play of the drive that started back at the Miami 21. Marino fires incomplete, and it's deflected from one Dolphin to another.
Jordan. How about Jordan? Is he having a day of his life? He's only caught 4 passes. Well, this is his 4th.
But 17 on that play.
Yeah, but when your head's up, watch this thing. McPhail off of him.
Well, the ball slips out of Dan Marino's hands, thrown behind McPhail, and look what I found.
Tough to practice that one.
That's a gift.
4 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns for Charles Jordan. Just to put that in perspective, he had only 7 catches all last year, no scores. Had only 17 all this year. Big day today.
That's why you got to play a guy against his old teammates. You know, they are fired up. They do things.
Ooh, incomplete, and another flag as Perriman is dumped by Greg Beekert, who was covered.
You know what this reminds me a little bit of, Phil? If you think you're getting a touchdown, I don't care about the penalty. You're going down. Because I'm going to tell you, look at Beekert.
Well, Beekert, hey, he's in great position to stop the play.
Pass interference, number 54, defense. Automatic first down.
But what happens, Paul? He has his back to the to the quarterback. He doesn't know what's going to happen. Look up to the top to the right. There he comes.
Actually, his timing wasn't that bad.
Not too bad. He had him on the inside. Albert Lewis to the outside, but he couldn't wait. Anticipated a little too early.
And didn't look back at the ball. Played the receiver. Abdul-Jabbar, does he have another score? Yes, sir. Number 14 this season for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Miami builds its lead to 23-10.
Well, the Dolphins, fortunate, they had the tip pass by their own player, Charles Jordan catching it. But it all goes back to the great pass and throw by Dan Marino, seeing the blitz, going down the field in a situation where you think they might be stopped.
Here's something you talked about the Raiders in the first quarter. Look where the linebackers aren't. And the linebackers aren't back to the outside. And when you get outside on the linebackers, that's been the biggest problem with this defense. Their linebackers, because the big guys inside have to stay outside, and they're not doing it.
James Trapp was the man who had the chance on the corner. Mare adds the extra point, and with 4:12 left in the third, Miami leads by 14. When they get inside the 10, you know that man, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is going to get his chances. It's a Miami record, 14 touchdowns rushing. He keeps adding to it, and he leads the league with 14. Mare's kickoff, shy of the goal line, down to Desmond Howard. And Howard greeted by 3 Dolphins at the 16-yard line. And we greet Greg Gumbel with this update from New York.
All right, Dick, in the desert, Jake Plummer and the Cardinals giving the Steelers fits. This is a 10-yard touchdown pass by Plummer to Chris Gedney. That was late in the third quarter. They're about to head to the fourth, and it's a 17-17 tie.
Well, the Steelers in a battle in the AFC Central. They know the scores of the Jacksonville game as the Jacksonville Jaguars won, and they're 9-4. Pittsburgh starting in a tie with Jacksonville. Tennessee with its win earlier this week on Thanksgiving Day in Dallas. Don't holding Hoffman for about 3.
Don't rule out Tennessee getting it.
You liked them, didn't you?
I was really impressed with those guys on Thursday. I was just impressed with them when we come in and talked to them. What a great bunch of guys.
I like what they're doing. They're trying to build it slowly and go upwards, but the only thing I think can hold them back is the fact that their offense, the passing game is limited, and no matter how well games fall for you, you always can't rely on just on playing good defense and running the football.
You know the Oilers, one thing for certain, you're going to get hit. That defense can fly and fiercely deliver the blow. George able to shrug off one Dolphin, plant himself, and throw long. Incomplete, intended for the tight end Ricky Dudley. A flag is down. Sean Wooden on the coverage.
In the area of holding.
Well, you know what happens? Offensive linemen, they got their guy in good position. All of a sudden, their guy takes off and goes another direction. They go, what's going on? So they reach out. It's an instinct.
Well, you know, and there's a lot of times you don't blame them for doing it. I mean, you say, well, the holding penalty.
Number 77, offense.
It's Pat Harlow, but so a lot of times they're trying to save their quarterback from getting killed. Now here's Harlow on the outside, and that's Jason Taylor. He goes inside. Now watch, but this is just a pure tackle. He tackles Jason Taylor. No?
It doesn't bother me. I thought he did a good job of just getting his body, pushing Jason Taylor to the inside, and you know, those hands are going to extend sometime.
It won't bother you. You're a quarterback.
Second down and 18 inside the 10. Joe Gilgo said there would be less penalties this year, and the Raiders, who often led the league,
another blitz.
Not this season. George hit at the goal line, fumbles, and it's recovered by Miami for a touchdown. Zach Thomas made the hit, and Tim Bowens, the big tackle, has 6 points for Miami.
Well, Jimmy Johnson said, hang in there, keep fighting. The Raiders, they'll start making mistakes, and not that you know this is going to happen, but they kept pressuring the Raiders. Again, it's a blitz on the inside with the linebackers. Zach Thomas, the defensive lineman, all of them coming in there. Jeff George is hitting the pocket, lets the ball go.
And Tim Bowens wraps his 315 pounds around that piece of pumpkin for a touchdown.
Well, Jimmy Johnson said we're going to be conservative, but he didn't say on defense. Only on offense. Jimmy Johnson, these guys have been flying all over the place. I've never seen the Miami Dolphins blitz this much in all the years I've seen them.
As Maury tries the extra point, one can reflect on this Raider season. This game a microcosm of what's been happening since September. The Raiders much too generous.
Well, we've seen so much of it today. Watch inside. They've been crossing this time. They just come straight in there. Now what happens when you blitz? You get single blocking by all the offensive linemen. Zach Thomas fights through his block, hits the quarterback, makes Jeff George fumble.
Well, Napoleon Kaufman is supposed to be blocking Zach Thomas, and he gets up and Zach gets over top of him, makes a play, gets underneath Jeff George, rips in. Here comes the ball.
Well, Zach Thomas, he learns after a couple times. Jimmy Johnson excited. Napoleon been trying to hit him low. This time Zach went down, met him, kept his balance, goes right by him and makes the hit for the fumble.
So 3:07 left in the third, and the Dolphin lead to 31-10 on Bowen's first NFL touchdown. He's had a good game, 4 tackles, a sack, and now a touchdown.
You know, Paul, you talk about all the blitzing, and what that tells me, Jimmy Johnson's feeling real comfortable with his defensive football team. They're learning their assignments. They're taking that next step. Instead of just playing zones and being conservative all the time, now they're going to that next step, trying to create turnovers by the offense.
It's also making a quarterback do a lot of things he just didn't really want to do, because Jeff George figures, well, they don't blitz a lot, so I can sit back there and do what I want. Well, not today.
Murray delivers a sidewinder headed for the sidelines, and that'll give the Raiders excellent field position on the kickoff out of bounds. And while they mark it, let's remind you on NBC tonight.
A full hour of the most outrageous bloopers and outtakes ever. Show me the bloopers at 8. Then, Chevy Chase, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the holiday comedy classic, Christmas Vacation. After bloopers, NBC tonight.
Every time I see this, I love this movie. I really do.
You should be in that.
I really should.
It's nice to have some laughs before you finish a weekend, isn't it?
You know, the good part of that movie, have you seen it? When he gets up in the attic, he gets locked in.
Don't tell me the end.
Well, no, it's not the end. And he's watching old movies, Dick. You know, the old-time movies. He's growing up in Christmas. And
the kick out of bounds carries the penalty, and the Raiders start from the 40, and the bomb is to Jet, and it's just knocked away at the last minute by Calvin Jackson.
You know what this is? This is an example of what you just talked about, where they have the confidence in their defensive secondary to do the job. You're sending Jet, who has Jets, downfield, and look at Jackson right there to knock the ball away.
Calvin Jackson waits to the last second, just like a receiver. He doesn't commit himself by going and trying to knock the ball down too early. He waits to the last second. That way he can knock it down right in stride. Makes it look easy.
Now they bring Tim Brown over here on Calvin Jackson. Don't run him again.
Jet looking for his 11th touchdown of the season. He leads the league with 10. Underneath they go incomplete to Harvey Williams. Derek Rogers covering. Second, now third down and 10. 5 straight balls hit the ground for George, so he's 11 for 24.
You know, one thing I've seen about Miami is on third downs, Phil, they're coming. They're sending people on third down, normally, which is a conservative down for teams, but he's putting in 4, 5, and 6 defensive backs and still coming with people. Now, Zach Thomas stays in. He told us he's going to stay in on third down, 50-50.
Yeah, half the time I get stays, I'll win that other half back next year at training camp. I got to prove to him again I can compete on third downs. Another blitz coming free.
Raiders have struggled on third down all year, and they're 3 for 10 today. 5 sacks for Miami. Trace Armstrong and Calvin Jackson collide with the Raider quarterback.
Boy, I'll tell you, they did it again. They blitzed on third down.
Well, they bring 2 people. Look, there's a fake. 2 people coming from the top. Zach Thomas, then the defensive back, Calvin Jackson. The Raiders can only pick up 1, not both. Somewhere, the receiver's got to break the route, or Jeff George has got to get rid of the ball a lot quicker.
So Eric goes to punt with Charles Jordan, who has been one of the Miami stars at the other end.
Oh, boy.
This young guy can kick. Backpedal to the 16, Jordan. Looking for blockers and runs right into the arms of the Raiders.
Well, it all starts with protection. Your quarterback, when you look at the stats each week, you can probably tell by looking who gets a good protection by the numbers. Dan Marino able to stand, nobody around his feet. Jeff George, all day long, has been running around, trying to get away from the blitzes of the Miami Dolphins. And then finally, they make him create the turnover they've been waiting for. You know, you could look at the stat box every week, and if a quarterback has good numbers, no doubt he had good protection.
I think one thing with Jimmy Johnson, too, that we found out about him this year and last year, expect the unexpected.
7 knockdowns, 5 sacks against Jeff George.
So with a commanding lead, 31-10, Marino hands off to Abdul-Jabbar, reverses his field, and said, no, I better go back where I wanted to go in the first place. And he's going to make a couple of yards.
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you something. When you talked about the offensive line, you just showed what Marino does. Richmond Webb on this play actually misses his man and then comes back and helps out Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the other end. Now, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, watch on this side over here. Here's a block.
That's James Brown.
Excuse me, James Brown. But watch what he does. Here comes Brown. Watch this. He goes back in and makes another block there that enables Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to get back to the outside. I said Richmond Webb. I'm sorry, James.
Darrell Russell, the rookie for the Raiders, thought he had Abdul-Jabbar twice. Actually, they mark it for no gain. 2nd and 10. Abdul-Jabbar. That low running style of his out to the 29-yard line. He's not as big as Terrell Davis, but he has that low run, a little quicker feet, can get outside. But 2 of the finer runners in the league.
Well, when you look at clock management too now, here you're going to see Dan Marino with a 21-point lead. He will milk that play clock down, and they'll snap the ball with about 2 or 3 seconds on it. He is in no hurry.
4.2 average. That'll make Jimmy Johnson happier. Well above the 3.1 on the season. 3rd down 3. Fires complete. Jordan again, and that's going to get him over the century mark. A first down across the 45. Albert Lewis made the tackle. 106 yards on 5 catches for Charles Jordan.
How does the ball get in there? Terry McDaniel's on him. Inside Albert Lewis. He's doubling the inside receiver that time. Dan Marino must have seen Albert Lewis's back, says, well, he can't make a play. Throws it right over him. Another good completion.
It was a good play, but Marino, again, the play clock was down to 5 seconds on that play here. It's going inside of 10 now.
That's got to be the best game in the NFL in his career. Charles Jordan in his 5 years. 14 more yards on that catch. And now Bernie Parmalee, as the flag is thrown with 10 seconds left in the quarter. There's Jordan, whose cousin is Curtis Conway, the Bears' outstanding receiver. And Jordan had lots of trouble out of junior college, was out of football for 3 years. Went to
holding, number 66, offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And he just walked into the Raider camp when they were in Los Angeles and said, give me a chance. Just like, you know, I think I can catch a ball. I can run a little bit. They did. It was one of those projects for Al Davis and the Raiders. Not quite good enough to stay here, and found a place in Miami. They run out the clock. That's the end of 3 periods here at the Oakland Coliseum. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local stations. Coliseum, Dick Kendall, Paul McGuire, Phil Simms, and Jim Gray, and Dan Marino. Detroit Drayton is tied in on first down. As we take a look at the playoff picture, Denver with a 10-2 mark and play later. Jacksonville moves up to 9-4. Kansas City very impressive, beating Denver and San Francisco, now at 10-3 and looking for home field themselves. Pittsburgh in a struggle at Arizona. The Jets lost today. Miami with a win moves into that spot. Wide open. Any team in the playoffs,
I think
NFC or AFC.
Dad said it well. There's a lot of teams and still make the playoffs. A lot of teams that can still go to the Super Bowl.
Bernie Parmalee with a carry out to the 42-yard line. And we have a most important game next week. We'll be at Three Rivers Stadium. It all begins at 12 noon Eastern with NFL on NBC. And then Elway goes against Stewart, Cordell and John, the Steelers and the Broncos. And then at 4 o'clock, Colts and Jets and regional action. Check your local listings for the game in your area. 12 noon. Eastern time next Sunday. NFL on NBC.
Look at, they're using Scotch tape now. You know when your team's going bad. You know they want to use regular tape anymore. Just get Scotch tape them together.
Maybe we could borrow some of that tape and use it on you.
No.
Marino underneath. And it's Jarvis McPhail, tackled by Rob Fredrickson. And that's short of a first down, and Miami brings on the punter.
Well, see, Rob Fredrickson, that tape job worked for him because he's the guy that makes the tackle. It made him faster. Rob Fredrickson on Jarvis McPhail, tape and all. You see the Scotch tape in the back?
It's lighter than the adhesive tape.
Yeah, that's right. It's that.
You wear that for a belt too, don't you?
Yes, I do.
They steal all your good ideas. You ever notice that?
I know.
Desmond Howard back at the 10. 3 of those touchdowns last year in Green Bay. This one a short kick. Dies at the 23-yard line. So with much to do, trailing 31-10, only 12:52 left in the fourth.
Army in the world, be all you can be. By Norelco Reflex Action Razor, anything closer could be too close for comfort. And by Compact, the most popular computer in the world.
Zach Thomas is in on a lot of things, special teams. Look, he's on the punt team. Watch Zach Thomas, Lorenzo Lynch. Hit him. Watch it. All right, anybody else want to hit me? Come on, come on, come on. Somebody else hit me. You with a mask. You want to hit me?
Makes me feel good.
Well, here's what's good. Yeah, this is good. They're laughing. Yeah.
That's great.
31-10. That's great for Miami. We're in the fourth quarter. Miami looking for a share. A 3-way tie for first in the AFC East as Jeff George winds up and fires. James Jett pulls it in at the 27-yard line. 50-yard throw. George to Jett.
Here's what happens. Jeff George rolls to his right. James Jett down at the bottom just runs across, and the safety just doesn't believe, hey, Jeff George can't throw it this far. He's got deep middle. There's no way. He's backpedaling. Not only does he throw it that far, he throws it on the line. Excellent throw and catch by Jeff George and James Jett.
That play almost ran 4 minutes off the clock. It took a long time to develop, didn't it?
The ball was in the air 4 minutes.
Well, you know, if you're a safety, logic says, well, he can't throw it this far because you don't see many quarterbacks that are able to make that type of play.
Watch out, though. George does get away from the rush, and the throw for a touchdown. He hits Jett for his 11th touchdown connection of the year.
27 yards.
Lincoln Kennedy's block, freeing George, who twisted away and found his favorite touchdown receiver, James Jett.
Well, the last 2 plays, this is the reason why everybody in football, fans, media, you have such high expectations from Jeff George because he can make such spectacular plays, and this is one of them. Under pressure, still having the arm strength to throw the ball 40 yards across the field.
It's also knowing where your receiver's going to be or supposed to be, because when he turned, he just threw.
Pulled forward for the extra point. Oh my, what happened to that one? He lost his shoe, I think, as he delivered the kick. The shoe went through. The ball missed. The ball went left, but I think the shoe went through. Do you get anything for that? James Jett, 2 catches for 77 yards. 50 to set it up, and 27 for the score. And he also hooked this one about as badly left as you would see in any game, much less the NFL. That is a real miss. It wasn't that bad a spot, was it?
No, it was perfect spot.
He kicked off, and 31-16 the score, and Jarvis McPhail on the return out to the 30-yard line. Jett, however, 2 big catches, the second for the touchdown.
Well, James Jett on the touchdown, you have to have speed to come from the left side of the field all the way to the right, all the way across to the back corner. Jeff George sees the defense, anticipates under pressure, and lets the ball go. And Sam Madison said to us yesterday, a cornerback for the Miami Dolphins, he says, James Jett even looks fast on film. That's being fast.
That really is, because you really don't hear that much from players, do you, Philly? The guy says, well, I've really never seen him, but man, he looks fast on film.
Well, he's got an Olympic gold medal to prove that he's fast. But the missed extra point takes Some of the gloss off that touchdown. Fumble by Abdul-Jabbar, and the Raiders may have recovered. Eric Turner from the safety position was the man drawing in, and Darrell Russell forced the fumble.
Well, about 1 minute ago, the Raiders, no chance to win this game. Couple big plays, and then the unthinkable for the Miami Dolphins, fumbling the ball on a running play. Darrell Russell, penetration up the field. He's been doing a good job all day long, putting pressure on the Miami offensive line. Comes across the formation and sticks his hand in there. Excellent job.
Well, we showed you the graphic earlier. Miami doesn't give it up very often, and only the 4th time that someone other than the quarterback has lost the football. First down, Raiders at the 30. A chance to make it a game with plenty of time left. 11.5 minutes. George to the end zone. And unable to make connections with Jett again. Almost the same pattern.
It was the same pattern. Exactly. James Jett again going from the far left of the field, trying to come across. But this time, watch what happens. Hey, George Teague says, fool me once, but not the second time. Sean Wood and the other safety, they're back there waiting for him, and he still runs by him.
What was it, a year ago? Was it with Miami? They fumbled like 4 times. They turned the ball over 4 times this game, and that's what cost them the football game with Jimmy Johnson. We're not going to do that again. Well, you don't want to ever let a team back in.
31-16 is Miami's lead. Plenty of time left in this 4th quarter. 2nd and 10. George down the middle. Incomplete. Tim Brown off his fingertips at the 15.
Now, it was a ball that was catchable, but also it's a ball Jeff George has good protection. Should have stepped up. Good throw, had a lot of velocity on it, but those are the type of throws that quarterbacks in this league, they step up and they throw them right to the chest of the receiver.
Well, but I'm looking at Tim Brown. He left his feet and got up in the air and didn't really have to. All he had to do was run through the ball. If he does that, he catches it easily.
3rd down has been a nemesis for the Raiders. They're 31% on the season and 30% today. It's down in the lower 4th of the league. George gets away from the rush. Now he throws. Tipped incomplete. Flag is down. A couple of them. They rank 26th in the league, to be exact, in 3rd down conversions. And holding against the Raiders.
Well, this is 4 down territory. You take this penalty here because the Raiders are going to go for it on 4th down anyway.
Well,
no, he's going to decline it. Make it 4th down and 10.
Holding number 26 on the offense. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Napoleon Kaufman trying to help out the quarterback.
Well, what's happening? Miami, they keep blitzing up top. We got 2 blitzers coming. They're making Napoleon Kaufman all day long pick up these blitzers, and the defensive backs for the Miami Dolphins doing a good job of just keep pressuring him, and he's breaking down.
Would you have taken the penalty here?
I would have.
4th down and 10. The Raiders and their fans on their feet hoping to keep this drive alive, but it starts in a bad fashion. Williams seems to not know quite where he wanted to be, and George gets planted back at the 44-yard line by Trace Armstrong. The 6th Miami sack today.
Well, the Raiders guess right. They say, well, they're going to blitz. You know what? They blitz again. They keep the tight end in the backfield or on the line of scrimmage. Here's Ricky Dudley. Not a good matchup. I hate these blocking schemes. A tight end against a pass rusher. You know, defensive coordinators love that matchup. You have no chance of stopping that.
Joe Bugel painfully watches an opportunity lost after Abdul-Jabbar's fumble.
It's just not a situation where you're putting your team in a good position. Again, a tight end's just not going to block an outside pass rusher too often.
Well, George is upset, and rightfully so.
They lost the ball at the 30. They get it back at the 42. Gaineswell. Back to Bernie Parmalee, who twists out to the 42. Back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe a yard gain. Trace Armstrong with a sack and a half today. He was the leader last year of the Miami sack crew with a dozen. Had only 2 prior to today on this year.
I really do. I think refusing that penalty, Jimmy Johnson made a statement to his defense. He said, look, you guys are playing well enough. I'm not really going to put you in a bad situation. It is 4th and 10.
Well, yeah, he decided to take his chance on one play instead of giving the Raiders 2. But
Over the middle, complete to O.J. McDuffie, tackled forward for a first down at the 47-yard line. Well, and this is one of the really terrific men in all of football, Joe Bugle, and we asked him about, there he is as a Joe Gibbs assistant offensive line coach with the Redskins, and it was Bugle who was the head hog as you look at Jacoby and Grimm and company, and he said, you know, that sad, he got really melancholy. He said, sad. He said it'll never happen again. That's going to be the last of their dinosaurs.
Well, they are. To be able to get 5 good offensive linemen like he had in Washington. He was the leader of that group, formed a group. They gave it a nickname, which is hard to do in this league. They handled it well, and to have such success and for him to be the leader of it, that's pretty awesome stuff.
They had their own special place to go. Phil was never invited. Phil was never invited.
Well, you know why?
It hurt you today.
I never played with the Redskins. That's why I wasn't.
Was it called the shed?
Well, they had a shed right there at the practice field, and only the Hogs, only the offensive linemen and Bugle were allowed in there. John Riggins was the other.
That's right.
And he said, but it was to keep all those players together before free agency. And in fact, he said Joe Gibbs, when they left, Joe Gibbs basically said, you know, it's not going to happen again. And that was about the time Joe retired. I guess he could confirm all that. Maybe time has changed the course of the story, but it is true that to give any group of players a nickname makes you a target for the opposition. That alone is risky.
And jealousy from your team. That didn't happen with it. Those players, Joe, Jacoby, Russ Grimm, they all handled it so well. And also, when you have an offense or any football team, the #1 coach you want to hire when you go out there as a head coach is your offensive line coach. Now, when your offensive line coach, it was Joe Bugle, he can form a group so special like the Hogs in Washington. And if you go back there now, you look in the stands, and you still see those ugly hog faces.
Well, the other thing about them, they're all still together. They all still get together once a year.
That's right.
And meanwhile, Miami just staying on the ground. Bernie Parmalee taken over here with Abdul-Jabbar doing his early work. Parmalee 11 yards. James Trapp made the tackle. Another first down.
Boy, what a perfect position to be in. Now you're up again. You get the ball back. Your defense is playing very well. Stay on the ground. They've run the ball 3 straight times and have done nothing, and 1 pass play, and they've nothing but eat up yardage against the Raiders. This team, this Raider defense is done.
Well, you know what? When you fumble the football on Jimmy Johnson's team, that always earns you a spot on the sideline with Jimmy Johnson.
No matter how good you are.
He does not put up with fumbling from his running backs or receivers once they get the ball in their hands.
And Parmalee clutching it with both mitts as he gets a short yardage on that effort.
I'll bring up a story. I can't remember the running back's name, but I remember years ago on Thanksgiving, they're beating the Chicago Bears. The game is over. He puts in the Cowboys. These are the Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson. He hands it to a running back. He fumbles a couple times. The Bears scored twice. They let the running back go the next day. And Curvin Richards. Sorry, Curvin, but you know.
Sorry.
Well, but that just kind of shows you the way he handles those type of situations.
So he gives Parmalee a chance, and now Abdul-Jabbar gets the ball after the fumble.
He's not going to let Abdul-Jabbar go tomorrow. I'm not insinuating that.
But he wanted to make a point. He said, you're not going to play for a few downs
That's
here.
right.
7 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Miami with a 31-16 lead. And what a fight it's going to be down the stretch in the AFC East. With a victory today, 3 teams, Miami, the Jets, and the New England Patriots, all at 8-5, 3 to go.
And New England has to go down to Miami.
The last game of the year, right?
Yeah, and last week that game, Dan Marino's interceptions caused a lot of problems for the Dolphins, but the defense of the Dolphins, I thought, played very well.
Marino guns it incomplete. Intended for Brett Perriman, a little tall. Perry Carter on the coverage. And looking ahead to next week as we get to December with 3 games to decide the playoff picture. And then tonight, a reminder that all new Dateline followed by all-star bloopers and outtakes from your favorite TV shows. And then, just in case you haven't laughed enough, try Chevy Chase and a fun family comedy. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation following bloopers on NBC tonight. 42-yard attempt by Mare. Season long is 37, and he hits that aplenty. Boy, by 5 yards, his longest field goal of the year. Olindo Mare is in the 40s club. 34-16 Miami. Director John Gonzalez and our producer Tommy Roy, we welcome you back to Oakland and Miami with a very impressive game here. And remember, this is a team, the Dolphins, they franchise the Dolphins, and it's incredible with all their success through the years in the Don Shula era, never ever able to win in the Coliseum. 0-8, but they're 6 minutes and 19 seconds away from that first win. And what did Jimmy say in the pregame show or with a chat with Jim Gray? Said, yeah, but that was back when they were
taking the field goal to put the game out of reach.
Look at Jason Taylor, the defensive end, now drops back into coverage. Well, he's incomplete and flagged down.
Dick, he's all excited. You know, he's a defensive line.
Tim Brown and Jeff George. There's some internal problems on this team that I mean they alluded to and didn't specify who they were, but there are a lot of problems with this football team. The Raiders.
Jeff George underneath to tight end Ricky Dudley, and remember Tim Brown according to Brown. First down. George wings it to the sidelines to Jeff. Well, we have a moment on a very positive note for the Raiders because of it has nothing to do with the AIDS scare, but people have been more reluctant, and Lincoln Kennedy doing a great job for his community. Red Cross especially thankful to Mr. Kennedy as Tim Brown weaving his way through the secondary to the 45-yard line, and Brown continues to rack up big numbers for the Raiders.
It's nice to talk about Lincoln Kennedy because there's a lot of things that players do on all these teams in the community that really never gets recognized, and it's about time that they do, because there's a lot of good things that they do.
8 catches for Tim Brown now, 125 yards on the day. And this one is picked off, intended for Brown. It's Sam Madison. And for the rookie from Louisville, his first NFL interception. And he goes out of bounds inside the 50 at the Raider 49. And even at that, with apparently a 4-9 record, that's only the 9th interception thrown by George all year to go with 25 touchdown passes. I think that's the best margin of any passer in the league, and that's a gift.
Defense can't hold up. It's hard to win consistently in the NFL.
Parmalee making hay to the 30. This will be, by quick count, the 8th time this year that the Raider defense has given up 25 points or more.
You know what's amazing? You see Parmalee running through here, and there's a guy playing on this field today. We never mentioned his name once today. 67. Did you see him go by him? Russell Maryland. Well, his name has not been mentioned the entire day.
Another first down for.
And he's done a good solid job out here in years past, but this year, when your defense is playing like the Raiders have, you can't say anybody's having a good year.
Abdul-Jabbar and Russell Maryland in on the tackle. With 2:40 remaining in the game. Abdul-Jabbar breaking tackles and bounced hard at the 26-yard line. Well, when a man has his best game ever in 5 years against his former teammates, it deserves a little encore. There is Jordan in action.
What a day he had. He had a career today.
And even the ball bounced right for him as he had another 17. 2 minutes to go. 34-16. And the give to Stanley Pritchett. Rare carry for him. He'd had only 1 carry before injured in the second game of the season. Dan Marino, look at his report card today. His career average per game 258, season 240, and today 241. Right within his range, as he just, with every throw, with every catch, just raises his all-time totals, the career best. Jimmy Johnson, he didn't have to wait to the 4th quarter. As he said, be patient, we'll get him in the 4th quarter, we'll wear him down. Raiders wore down earlier. Now Mare trying another long-range 44-yarder. It's blocked. And Lorenzo Lynch out of bounds at the 38-yard line.
This didn't have a chance in the beginning. First of all, it was a bad snap. The holder, John Kidd, never gets the ball down. Here it comes. Well, watch this. On the ground. Can't get it down.
He had to adjust and lines it into the belly of Andre Bruce. We have a timeout. game tied at Arizona for the Steelers. Need a win to stay with Jacksonville. As soon as this game is over, should that game still be running, maybe even at overtime, we'll be switching you to the Phoenix area for the conclusion of that game. So don't wander off. The Raiders have the ball at their 38-yard line. And we give to Tim Hall, and Hall out to the 47-yard line, a gain of about 9. As Miami now with 3 games to go, and this is their trip as Johnson has them aim for the playoffs at home against Barry Sanders and the Lions next week. Then at Indianapolis, a tough 1-12 team as the opponents of the Colts have found out, and then at home to conclude against New England, which may be the game that decides the champion of the AFC East. Hall again has a first down and more against the loose Miami defense to the 46-yard line. But the matter of fact is, if Miami can beat the 3 AFC opponents, the Raiders, Indianapolis, New England, they're in. They don't have to beat Detroit if they win those 3.
They would win their division.
At least a wild card.
A wild card.
Okay,
wild card.
Because they'd have 10-2 in the.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see he was loose and they were ready to play.
From the 44-yard line, just handed off to Tim Hall. Tim Hall out of bounds. That'll stop the clock. And a reminder that the Arizona-Pittsburgh game has gone to overtime, tied at 20. So we'll be taking you immediately to Phoenix, and you'll be able to see that overtime as the Steelers and the Cardinals battle. So as soon as the final seconds, and there are 18 seconds left, we'll be switching you to the conclusion of that game.
That young man right there, what a game he played. Charles Jordan, I mean, he just made some super catches.
5 catches, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns.
See, I told you, that's what he's saying. I told you, all you have to do is throw the ball to me. I'll catch it. Just throw it to me. I can catch it. I can get open.
That's exciting for a guy to have a career day.
Underneath to Hall to the 24-yard line, and that should do it. Zach Thomas makes another tackle.
Why not?
Appropriately the last play of the game. So the final score, 34-16 here. We're going to go to Dan Hicks and Jim Kelly in Arizona.
Okay, class, rules of driving. Norman.
Observe the speed limit, stay 2 car lengths behind, and always pass on the left.
Wrong answer. There are driving schools, and there are driving schools. At the Russell Racing School in Sonoma, California, you only fail if you get passed. But don't forget your Visa card, because you won't move an inch using American Express. Visa,